Welcome back, Atlanta. We are back in studio, and tonight I get the privilege and honor of interviewing one of our board members, school board members in Cobb County, who has been advocating for children education for as long as I don't know, over how many years?
Oh, it's been almost 10 years.
10 years, a whole decade in the fight for our kids' education. He's going to be talking to us about what he's been up to since our last podcast when he came on back in, was that like December?
Yes.
December, yep. And so he's back, and y'all, he's literally built like a whole city since then. So he's going to talk to us about what he's been up to. But first, I want to formally introduce Leroy Tre Hutchins. He has been a resident of Cobb County for nearly 35 years, attending grade schools in Cobb County and graduating from Pebblebrook High School and the Cobb County Center for Excellence in Performing Arts in 1994. He is an advocate for public schools and can be found serving our area, South Cobb schools in many capacities. Currently, Tre serves on the Cobb County School District Board of Education for Post 3, where he's representing schools in Mableton, Austell, and Powder Springs. Tre also serves on several boards, which includes Georgia PTA, Austell Community Taskforce, South Cobb Council of PTA, Bryant Elementary PTA, and more. And he says, in quote, "South Cobb is my village. There's no better place for me to raise my family than in the greater South Cobb."
That's right.
That's amazing.
That's right.
And I know there's so much that's not in your bio. Did you want to fill in those areas?
We've just been busy advocating for kids, working on a lot of different things, and just trying to bring a lot of different programming to the area.
Yeah.
So I'm on the board for Communities and Schools for Marietta, Cobb County.
Nice.
Also serving with the State Department, Georgia Department of Education.
Awesome.
For special education.
Wow.
And so a lot of different policy
Yes.
places as well. So school board partner. So I
Yeah.
partner with school board members from around the nation, and we talk
Wow.
about strategic partnerships and policies that we can implement to better educational outcomes for our children. And so just
Yeah.
staying busy. So I think next week I'm going to UGA to
Nice.
sit on a panel to talk about mentoring and why mentoring matters.
Wow.
And the importance of the community engagement
Yes.
aspect. And so we're doing that in a couple weeks. And so
Nice.
just a lot of different opportunities that have opened up.
You are literally, you're turning Cobb County upside down.
I hope so.
Upside right. You're turning it upside.
I like that one. Upside right. I like that. Yes. Yes.
And I love how you're emphasizing policy, because that really, truly is what's needed in order to make sure kids have the education that they need in Cobb. But I want to, before I jump the gun, let's back up a little bit
Yes.
and tell us, since December, it is now August, what have you been up to?
City of Mableton is up and going. City
Yes.
Council is seated.
Yes.
School has started August 1st.
Yes.
And if you can imagine, schools have become the most polarizing institution as of lately, and so we have not been exempt to our fair share of some of that as well here in Cobb County. So just navigating some of those spaces and making sure we have safe environments for students, and so just hit the ground running, really.
Yeah. So what is the new City of Mableton meant for, especially for you and your role in Post 3? You're overseeing Austell, Powder Springs, and Mableton, and I'm guessing some of those areas were part of the rezoning, redistricting.
Yes.
What has it been like for you since the city has been up and running?
So January, because of redistricting, I picked up a new high school. So originally I had all the schools within the framework of the city of Mableton.
Right.
South Cobb High School, Pebblebrook High School. But due to redistricting, my district has cut Mableton right in half.
Wow.
So I have the southern portion of Mableton, which is south of Veterans Memorial. But I also still have the city of Austell, the city of Powder Springs, and I picked up McEachern High School, which is in Powder Springs. And so that has been a unique experience, picking up McEachern High School, because it's a different dynamic and a different type high school than any other high school we have in Cobb County, as it was historically a college prior to it becoming a school part of our school district in K-12.
Wow. So it sounds like a lot of changes has been happening.
Yes.
You also talked about, before we started recording, that middle school.
Yes.
And I'm really excited about that. Of course, I'm a middle school student.
Yes.
daughter. So I'd love to hear also more about like that venture and how that came about.
Yeah, so I have a middle school son too. He's in the 7th grade, and Lord, bless the middle school children.
Yes, bless them,
So,
Lord.
several years ago, maybe about 6 years ago, myself sitting on several school councils, sitting on our PTA councils, we decided to create a strategic plan to present to the school district to reimagine what education is going to look like in the Pebblebrook High School cluster.
Yeah.
Pebblebrook High School has some of the lower performing schools in our area, and so we wanted to make sure we had a framework in place that the community could get behind, but that the school district could help support to improve educational outcomes for children. And so as a result of that, we realigned our elementary schools. And the second phase of that was realigning our middle schools. And so with that, we were able to create a new middle school. And we called it the Betty Gray Middle School. Betty Gray, who is a former school board member, she not only was a long-term board member, but she was also a long-term administrator in our school district. I believe she taught English. She taught Governor Barnes at South Cobb High School. So you can imagine, the history that Betty Gray has had. And so we were able to honor her legacy with a new middle school. And so we're excited about that new middle school because it allows that segment of Mableton to now have a clean slate and just really redefine what they want to see for middle school children.
I love it.
And so we're talking about STEM, we're talking about Spanish, and all these different things that are going to be added to this particular school. We're excited about the parent engagement that we're seeing. I shouldn't bring this up, but we have a lot of private school parents that are leaving their private schools to be a part of this situation. I was talking to the mayor of Mableton. I was talking to the mayor of Mableton. His children are in a local. Michael Owens. He was in a private school, and he said, "Hey, Trey, let's talk about Betty Gray." I was like, "Well, you know what? Let's do it." And so we're going to set up a meeting with him, and he's going to bring some parents together that would have some interest to see if the new Betty Gray Middle School is the new school for them.
I love that.
Yeah, we're excited. $10 million in renovations and upgrades for that particular school. So we're excited. It has a new face on it. I actually attended that school when it was Lindley Middle School. When I was in middle school.
So is that the one right off of Veterans around a corner?
That one that's down farther.
Close the one right near me.
Close to Whitfield. That's right. The school that's close to Whitfield.
That's literally, I turn left and I go right. It's right down the road.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So that is going to be.
That is the new Betty Gray Middle School.
Wow.
Opened August 1st this year.
August 1st. So it already opened.
Yes.
That's incredible.
And so we're excited. Parents are excited, and so we're just looking to see how we can best support it to ensure that our parents and our children are getting the educational outcomes they desire.
I'm just really it's astonishing that happened in such short time.
Yes.
But I'm sure there were plans going on for years before that. When is the first graduating class?
Betty Gray. So if we're starting with 6th grade this year. I think we have like another 6 or 7 years. So where are we at? 23? Maybe what is that? 29?
2029.
20,
is it going up to 12th grade?
So that school will be 6 through 8. And then in Cobb County, we have opportunities for you to stay within the feeder pattern. And you can attend Pebblebrook High School, or you can choose a magnet school to choose from. We have 7 different magnet schools around Cobb County. We also have a career academy. I believe the Board of Education is going to entertain another career academy shortly, as well as some of that career tech space is starting to really blossom in Georgia. And so we want to take advantage of that and make sure children are prepared for, if they decide not to go to college, but they want that career or they want some technical aspects. We want to make sure they're prepared for that. So we're looking in that way for an additional academy. So we just have a lot of different options for children once they finish middle school.
Incredible.
I always advocate for Pebblebrook because it is the first magnet school in Cobb County School District. And as you read, the Cobb County Center for Excellence in the Performing Arts, where I graduated from, and we still have I was part of the first graduating class of that magnet school. And so
it's incredible.
Yeah, and so we still have people on Broadway today from when I was in school. And so it's exciting to see that program. Oh, yeah. That program is well-renowned. So we're definitely preparing children for that next level. And so we're looking to see, all the great things that are happening at Pebblebrook. Pebblebrook turns 60 this year.
60 years old.
Yes. So we're excited about that because homecoming, which is in October 20th through the 22nd, we're inviting everyone to come home for homecoming.
Can I come home even though I've never been
Yeah,
home?
come on. Look, you're in Mableton, so you can celebrate because
Okay.
Pebblebrook is definitely the pride of Mableton. And so
I love it.
we'll be celebrating 60 years, but we're also celebrating the culmination of $60 million in SPLOST projects.
Wow.
Yep. So
Incredible.
A lot of stadium improvements, a new field house.
Nice.
We got a brand new state-of-the-art Broadway quality theater. We have some
Nice.
classroom addition space. We got a new gymnasium that holds 3,500 students.
Wow.
And so we're really excited about the new Pebblebrook.
Yes.
And we're really going to be kicking it off this year with the 60 years of academic excellence.
I love it. I'm getting so excited as you're speaking. I'm visioning everything.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about what it means to our students.
Yes.
To know that you invested that amount of not just money but effort.
That's right.
Into them and to their future.
That's right.
And to their education and to their purpose. I think that's incredible. I truly believe that schools should look like something for our kids.
That's right.
Right? They
That's
should
right.
come in and know that they're valuable, that they're valued, that they're destined for greatness.
That's right.
By the way their school looks.
That's right.
Through the programs that's offered.
That's right.
So I love that you guys are investing so much into our kids, and it's right in Cobb, the
That's
best
right.
county ever. So I mean,
I'm biased too, so you won't get any complaints out of me.
I love it. So tell us more. We talked before we started recording about some of the controversial things that have been going on in the school board. I know there's not a lot that you can divulge, but what you can, tell us what's been going on so that parents are informed and know also.
Yes. So if you've been paying attention to the political stage as it relates to education the last few years, we're not exempt to that. Cobb County School District, we're probably on the front lines of most of those conversations. We're the second largest school district in the state, 24th in the nation, and we're probably one of the highest performing school districts in the state. So those topics hit us first. Several years ago, the Board of Education banned CRT and the 1619 project. And in those conversations, my concern with the ban and even the resolution was that we did not have a definition for CRT or the 1619 project. And I think that has been a challenge for me when we make statements and when we have policy, making sure that we are clearly defining what the expectation is and what we're saying,
Absolutely.
and not leaving it up for interpretation. The ambiguity, I think, is where we get stuck, and so that it did pass. But then since then, the state of Georgia has defined what we consider to be divisive concepts around race.
Right.
And so the state defined it. We didn't define it, but the state did define it.
The state defined it.
Yes. And so that state law, said that divisive concepts will be any of those topics that would necessarily divide people by race. And so there's like 9 different tenets in that. And so, but I was glad that there was at least a definition.
A definition.
So teachers know what is off limits.
Right.
You see? So now we don't have to worry about teachers not knowing because it is clearly defined in state law what is a divisive concept. CRT is not in there, but concepts of race are in there. And then since then, there was conversations around what is controversial. And so one of the most recent conversations in Cobb County Schools is controversial topics. And as a result of those controversial topics, we're starting to see a lot of conversation around books and what can and cannot be in libraries and what can and cannot be distributed to children and things of that nature. And so, again, for me, I always go back to the policy. As a board member, we govern by policy and by policy only. We do not. We're not operational. We give the superintendent the policy, and then he creates rules and regulations for the district to operate under. And so it's important that as a board we have clear and concise policy free of ambiguity, and then the superintendent is then charged with creating the policy for the school district and making sure that it is clear and concise and free of ambiguity. But as it relates to controversial topics, we fell short. And so while the board is clear, that policy is clear, the policy that the superintendent has created leaves room for interpretation. And as a result of that, I think that's where the challenge is. And so hopefully the Board of Education will convince the superintendent to clean up the policy in a way to where topics that will be considered controversial for the community of Cobb County will be clearly written and defined so that teachers will not continue to operate in a place of fear.
Yeah.
So over the last couple weeks, I've gotten a ton of emails and texts from teachers saying, Trey, we're scared.
Yeah.
You know,
Of course.
next week could be my job.
Right.
Because who gets to pick and choose what controversy is? And so not having that clearly defined can be a challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah. Tell us more about, some people may not be on to the news, what CRT is and
Yes.
how that was banned and the, I guess, motivation or intent behind banning that.
Yes.
And the impact that that's had on schools.
You know, I look at the politics of schools and we start talking about critical race theory. That's what the CRT is.
Yeah.
And and the reason why I asked our board for a definition, because I realized there was a polarizing definition of CRT that did not necessarily line up with the original intent of what critical race theory was, where it's taught at.
Yeah.
In like post-secondary, master, Juris Doctorate level type education, not in K-12.
Right.
And for some reason, there was an understanding that K-12 was where critical race theory and those concepts were being taught, where our country is systemically racist.
Right.
Now
Absolutely.
now we know, based on our history,
Yep.
Jim Crow, slavery,
Yep.
Jim
Start
Crow
there.
law,
Right.
Jim Crow laws, segregation,
Absolutely.
the issues with integration,
Yeah.
and all those different things that have happened even since then, the civil rights movement. That is why that CRT, that work has been created to show
Right.
that there has been some systemic things, redlining, as far
Absolutely.
as who can live where, and
Right.
and all those different things in our society
Yeah.
that have passed were laws,
Yeah.
and that we have to look at race because race was a part of many of these things,
Yeah.
and but people thought that CRT or that concept of thinking was being infiltrated into K-12, and really it's more complicated than that.
Yeah.
K-12, there's no curriculum for it. Our state superintendent said that there's no curriculum for CRT in the state of Georgia,
Right.
and so I consider it to be mass hysteria,
Yeah.
just to
Yeah.
get a certain group of people polarized
Yeah.
and fighting against something that was not really a reality in school.
Right.
But the intent was to keep the conversation of race not talked about.
And that's very harmful
Yes.
for
It is.
kids. It's not only harmful for Black and brown kids, it's harmful for white kids too.
Yes.
Because they also need to have an understanding
Yes.
of how to interact with kids that may not look like them, of their history as well, because it also benefits them.
That's right.
So, just the fact that something like this is being stopped, I wonder if they understand the impact that has on the emotional, social, and the development of kids.
I think we're going to see it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because, we talk about in history, if we don't talk about it, we're destined to repeat it.
Absolutely.
And so I would hate to see us repeat some of those many different laws and regulations that were in place that were based on race to
Yeah.
limit race. I see it not necessarily with Black people per se, even though they're still there as well,
Yeah.
but I'm seeing how we address immigration.
Yeah.
And brown people as
Absolutely.
they are entering our country,
Right.
and as they're working to be a part of our society.
Yeah.
And I start to see how we're starting to massage very racial issues again,
Right.
this time with a different group of people.
Yeah.
And so, again, we have to be able to have strong conversation about this because
Absolutely.
America was built on the beauty of it being a
Absolutely.
melting pot for all people.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
if we get away from that message,
Right.
I think we lose what America was meant to be and
lose.
what it is supposed to be.
Yeah. And then we also, thinking back to the children, they lose their sense of identity in a sense.
Yes.
Because understanding that history is pivotal to identifying
Yes.
with who they are. And so not having that safe space, especially in a place that is supposed to teach you
Yes.
to talk about your own self, your own
Yes.
people, and where you came from, I'm not sure how that's really pushing our kids forward. It's like we're taking steps backwards.
Not only taking steps back, I've watched this type of conversation question the integrity of our professionals, our
Absolutely.
educators, and whether they can use their professional judgment and adequately assess these situations and help facilitate these conversations with children. I've never seen more attack on teachers than I have in the last couple of years, and it's
Wow.
and it's scary for me. And I
Yeah.
can see why across the nation there is a teacher shortage.
Oh, yeah.
Because who would want to be underpaid and have to
Right.
deal with all that stress?
All of that, right.
So,
That's
you
a
know,
lot.
so I think as a country, we're going to have to really reimagine education.
Absolutely.
And start having the hard conversations so we can move forward collectively as a people.
Right. What kind of policy would you like to see created and to better support our kids around race? You could create that piece of legislation.
I think first it starts with the Georgia Department of Education.
Yeah.
They create our standards. And they teach us, they tell us what we can and cannot teach as it relates to it. And
Right.
if you're in the school system, you know we teach Ruby Bridges.
Right.
That's like maybe second or third grade. And then we'll talk about Martin Luther King.
Right.
We're going to talk about Rosa Parks. That may be the extent of Black history, American history,
Wow.
that you're going to get. You know,
Wow.
a few others may get thrown in there, George Washington Carver because of the peanuts and things of that nature. But
Wow.
but really our history is not
pretty scary.
reflected in the curriculum. And
Right.
so I will want to go back to the Georgia Department of Education and say we need to broaden our curriculum
Absolutely.
and our standards
Yeah.
to include more topics around people of color
Yeah.
and their contributions to society.
Yeah.
I lived in Phoenix, Arizona for about 3 years, and it is a very large Hispanic population,
Right.
or Latin population. And I was blown away that Cesar Chavez was part of the curriculum, and he
Right.
was a workers' advocate, you know, in the western part of the United States.
Right.
And but we know nothing about that here. You know, I was like blown away because I'm 40 plus, and I was like, who is Cesar Chavez?
Right.
Because it just wasn't taught.
Yeah.
But I noticed that out there because of the population,
Yeah.
they have to bring in one or two players.
Yeah.
And he was the one. We have to be reflected in history.
Absolutely.
Our stories have to be reflected in history as well. And I think that's where we start with the policy. The policy is making sure that the standards reflect everyone.
Absolutely.
We've all made great contributions.
And textbooks.
Yes.
Who are writing our textbooks
Well,
that our kids are?
That's where it goes back to. That's
Yeah.
part of the problem. Who's writing it, who's approving it, and the fact that no one is even pushing the envelope and saying, we need more of this in here. And no one's
Absolutely.
going to the textbook writers and saying, hey, this is very limited. You need to really broaden the scope to include, you know, more than just Rosa Parks and bless them, Martin Luther King, we love
Yeah.
them. But no one's talking about Malcolm X.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
so, and the contributions that he has also brought to this conversation. So I think we have a lot of work to do in regards to that.
Yeah.
I don't really want to get into my solution, I think, because
Right.
I think sometimes we have to look at school choice
Yeah.
to really answer some of those questions as to where do we go from here,
Right.
so that we can be in charge of the educational outcome
Yeah.
for our children and what the curriculum looks like. But I'm a public school advocate, so I need to stay within
Absolutely.
those lines. For
No,
now.
I know it so well. You are always advocating for public school excellent education,
Yes.
and I can see that in Cobb.
Yes.
So thank you for your contributions
Thank
and
you.
what you're
Thank you.
doing, and for staying in the fight.
Oh, yes.
Because certainly, as a school board member, I know it gets hard.
Oh, yes.
For you.
You know, everyone's like, are you going to run again? Because I'm in my third year. Next year will be my fourth year of the final year of my first term.
Right.
And so I have to start thinking, Trey, are you up for another 4 years of this? And so I am
Yeah.
going to seek reelection to continue the
Yay.
work, because there's still some things that I need to finish.
There's some work to
yes,
do.
Yep. But in the next 4 years, I will be working diligently to bring on the next person to succeed me,
Nice.
to continue the work. You know,
Yes.
I want to make sure that I leave the district better than I left it.
In good hands
Yes.
too, with a successor.
Yes.
And I love that you're doing it.
Yes.
In the next 4 years, what are you hoping to accomplish in Cobb?
Well, we're going to do like what we did with the Pebblebrook cluster. We're going to create a strategic plan
Right.
to help take us to the next level, realigning some of our school districts, making sure schools are not going to be overcrowded. We see
Yeah.
growth coming into the area. We see demographic changes. And so
Yeah.
making sure that we have the right infrastructure in place to meet those changes and those needs.
Absolutely.
Cobb County is expected to be over 1 million people in the next
Wow.
6 years, 7 people. And I think we're at 780 now, but
Yeah.
we're looking at it by 2030 being over 1 million people in unincorporated Cobb, or in just Cobb County in general.
Wow.
And so with that influx of people, making sure that we have enough schools.
Yeah.
Making sure we have enough classroom space.
Absolutely.
Making sure we have buses and, employees and everything we need to continue being a great school district.
Yeah.
That's going to be what I will work on for the next 4-5 years to ensure that we're in a place to move forward. And
building capacity
That's right.
and ensuring we have the infrastructure to do
Yes.
that, to accommodate this sporadic new growth that's going to happen.
Yes.
Especially because, of course, Cobb is the best county to live in.
So we say that Cobb County School District is probably one of the best places to teach, lead, and learn.
Yeah.
And we say that, and we're not just saying that.
Yeah.
We are the highest paid school district.
Wow.
Meaning every teacher
You guys
in
are
Cobb
looking
County.
to teach.
Yep. They come to
Yeah.
Cobb County because just starting out, you're going to make over $50,000 just starting
Wow.
out.
That's
you know.
incredible.
Yeah. And so we take pride in making sure that we put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
In supporting educators. We just have to make sure we fix some of the culture climate issues as well on top
Yeah.
of that. So,
Right.
And I think that's going to help us once we start working on some of those issues.
Well, I think that is definitely something that will gain people
Yes.
to want to come and teach in Cobb is
Yes.
just knowing if I got to deal with the stress, fine. As long as y'all pay me good, I'll
Well,
deal with it. So,
For so long, we don't want to burn you out on it. So,
Right.
so we want to have a plan to address some of those challenges as well.
yeah. Two last questions as we're closing. One is in regards to teachers. So maybe there are some teachers that are listening and tuning in.
Yes.
And maybe they are dealing with like controversial topics or divisive topics, and they may be on the scared
Yes.
side. Any advice that you can give to
Yes.
them?
The policy. I always go back to the policy.
Yeah.
And while the policy around controversial topics may be ambiguous at the moment, follow the policy. If you're in doubt, follow the policy.
Right.
Do not take on the responsibility yourself, quote unquote, of using your professional judgment
Right.
to make the determination whether something is safe for children.
Yeah.
The Parents' Bill of Rights is very clear that parents must be the final authority on what children should be taught.
Yeah.
So when you have those things enshrined in state law, we must make sure that we have a policy in place to protect the teacher. Our policies
Yeah.
are meant to protect you. So if you're ever in doubt, and even if you're not in doubt,
Right.
I would send every book you have that you've collected over the last 30 years that may be in your book library, send it in to be vetted.
Yeah. That's good.
Any piece of paper that you're going to send to children, send it in, let it be vetted. I know it's going to be a very long process
Right.
of trying to vet over 19,000 employees,
Right.
books and things of that nature, but I would rather you be safe than sorry.
Yeah.
And so, because the policy, again, is there to protect you
Right.
and to protect your career. And
Yeah.
so I say, I know we read this book when I was in high school,
Right.
but send it in anyway.
Yeah.
Don't put that pressure on you. Don't put the responsibility on you. Your administrator, your principals, the district is the ultimate party responsible to make sure that we've given you all the tools you need to be successful.
Right.
Put that pressure on the district, let them take care of that,
Yeah.
and you continue to do what you do best.
Absolutely. That's really good advice. And I think it really does take the stress
Yes.
off of teachers to have to figure out, can I teach this? Can I use this book?
Yep.
Going back to policy and making sure it's vetted. So
Yes.
speaking to their principal, I'm sure would probably be the best course of action
Yes.
to make sure that whatever they're teaching is being approved, especially in light of that Parent Act.
Yeah, the Parents' Bill of Rights. Yes.
Yeah, Parent Bill of Rights. And then lastly, I know we've been back to school since August 1st.
Yes.
August has just come and gone.
Yes.
Right. So any advice that you can give to parents, kids are back in school.
Yes.
It's a whole new year. If you can just give word of advice, and I know engagement is probably going to be one of
It
them
is.
for you. But how can
yeah.
parents stay on top of their kids' education this school year?
You have to get engaged. You have to stay engaged.
Yes.
I know in elementary school, we're all engaged, right?
Right.
Middle school, we start weaning off a little bit. And
Yeah.
by high school, we're just showing up to a football game.
Yeah.
I'm telling parents at all levels, you need to stay engaged, fully engaged.
Right.
Get involved with your local PTA. Or
Yeah.
your local PTSA or the Parent Teacher Association,
Yeah.
Parent Teacher Student Association.
Right.
We have one at every school in Cobb County. If you have a foundation, get involved with the foundation.
Yeah.
There's going to be a principal advisory council at every single school.
Awesome.
Ask, can you serve on that principal advisory council? Reach out to the
Amazing.
principal and say, hey, how can I be a part of this council?
Yeah.
How can I be a part of those meetings?
Right.
Because that is where you're going to get firsthand information
Right.
from the principal, and make sure you know who your teachers are. Build those relationships.
It's important.
And I think we have to go back to what worked when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
Be a room mom, be a room dad. When we have donuts for dads, please go and eat donuts with
I
your
love
kids
it.
and be part of those, all of those events and those different engagement opportunities.
Yeah.
It's going to help with your children, but it's also going to help bridge that working relationship and that partnership with parents
Yeah.
and teachers. And I think that's what our children are going to need to move them forward.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. It's a good refresher for me too. I
Yes.
missed the parent-teacher meet and greet last week.
Okay.
Well, guys, I was sick, so whatever.
Okay.
But I will be going to meet
Yes.
the teachers.
Yes.
And this time it's a little overwhelming because she doesn't have one teacher.
That's right.
She has tons of teachers
That's right.
now that
That's
my
right.
daughter's in middle school. So I got a lot of teachers to go meet and stay on top of
That's
my
right.
daughter's education.
That's right.
So parents' engagement
Yes.
is key to your child's success.
It is.
And studies show
Yep.
that parents that are more engaged, their kids do well.
That's right.
They do better. They have
right.
better educational outcomes.
Yep.
So
And here's the last one. I know that it may be challenging sometimes because our kids have crazy schedules, right?
Yeah.
But make sure they involve with something extra.
Oh, yeah.
The extracurricular is very important as well. I
Yeah.
think it helps build their mindset to perform better in school.
Oh, yeah.
Because ultimately you can't participate in this if you're not performing well in
Right.
school. And so it helps to have that as well if you can.
Yeah.
I know sometimes it can be a challenge, but let's make sure that our kids are doing more than just going to school and coming home. They need to
Absolutely.
really be engaged. Get them engaged, and then you get engaged. I
Yeah.
think that's what's going to happen. The engagement is going to help us.
that's good. And that's true. And sometimes it's the other way. But definitely, if the parent is engaged, the child has no choice
Yep.
but to be engaged. But there are times where the child is engaged and the child is pulling the parent
That's right.
to be engaged. But absolutely, I second that.
Yes.
Extracurricular activity, get your child into something,
Yes.
whether it's sports, music, arts, whatever the school has available. Reach out and see, because sometimes you don't know unless you go research.
right.
But it's important. And it's important to their outcomes.
Yes, it is.
And to their performance.
Yes.
So I think this is great advice. I really appreciate you
Thank you.
being on with me, Trey.
It's always a pleasure.
Yes,
Always a pleasure.
and for sharing all the things that you're doing.
Yes.
Any last words that you'd like to leave us with?
Oh, so much going on. Get engaged. That's
Yes.
it. Just get engaged. All levels. School level, come to the board meeting.
Yeah.
Come and talk to the school board. We love to have parents come and speak in public comment. And
Nice.
good, bad, or indifferent, come.
Yeah.
And write us. Make sure that you write us and tell us what's happening in your local schools. We really don't know unless someone tells us.
Yeah.
And so how can we help be part of the change if we don't know? So please
Absolutely.
get engaged in all different levels, locally, even from the perspective of the school board, and reaching out and building those relationships so we can better build our community together.
I love it. And how can people write to you if
Okay,
they
yes.
if they have a concern or just want to touch base?
Yes.
And where are the meetings taking place and when?
Yes. So we usually meet the second or third Thursday of every single month.
Okay.
The work session starts around anywhere from 12 to 2. Every month is different.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our voting session, or the actual board meeting, starts at 7 p.m. that night. But you can find me on the Cobb County School District website, and it's cobbk12.org. /board. And all of the board members are listed. There's 7 of us
Yeah.
that serve collectively. And I'm Post 3. I represent Post 3, which is the southern portion of the county. My email address is there is thutchins.boardmember@cobbk12.org. And, all my phone numbers and all the contact information is there. I'm also on social media as well. Facebook is Leroy Hutchins or Leroy Tre Hutchins. You can find it either way. But I have a school board page. I have a lot of different social media pages. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and just type in Leroy Hutchins. It'll pop up.
Awesome. And you're sharing resources on
All pages.
all those pages. So definitely follow
Yes.
Leroy Hutchins on all social media platforms, especially if you're a Cobb County parent or a Cobb County resident and you just want more information. I really encourage you to follow.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Likes and share.
Yes, and like and share. And like and share this message too.
That's
So
right. There you go.
we're coming to the very end, but this has been absolutely amazing. I feel like I was brought through like a whole year.
Yes.
And then also like a history lesson.
Yes.
A policy lesson all in one. So this has been really insightful. I know that those that are tuning in and listening have learned and gained a lot of information from you. So I just want to say thank you and continue the fight.
Oh, yes.
Continue fighting for our kids' education. We need you. So we're excited about re-election for you.
Oh.
And the next 4 years, your work is cut out.
Yes.
So I will, whatever I can do to support more.
Yes, please.
I know I've been a little, but I'll be back.
Yes. Well, school started. We have to give everyone grace because you're getting ready for school and you're starting. You started middle school, so you have to,
That's been
give you grace.
That's
grace.
another episode, y'all. We're gonna have a whole episode dedicated to when your child starts middle school. It took me a year and a half to prepare, so that's a whole nother lesson. But again, guys, we love you so much. We appreciate you for tuning in. Don't forget to follow Leroy Hutchins on all social media platforms, and we'll see you soon. Stay tuned, everyone.